Today we're talking about the rise of the underdogs in the Premier League. I'm Ant, got Jake here with me. Say hello.
Oh, hey. How you going?
Of late we've seen quite a bit of a shake-up of the typical top six clubs and how teams are performing right now. If we look at the table currently, as of today, the top six clubs being Liverpool, United, Arsenal, City, Chelsea.
Historic.
Oh, well, what do they call it? The historical?
Yeah, sure.
But the big six.
Yeah, the big six. Yeah.
The six that were selected for the Super League.
Oh, yeah. The Super League clubs.
Yeah, the Super League six. Currently they're spanning from 1st to 11th, the lowest being Chelsea right now. We can see, within that now, you've got the likes of Newcastle have broken in. They're currently sitting at 3rd, Brighton at 6th, Villa at 7th, Brentford and Fulham also at 9th and 10th as well. So essentially this is creating a lot more excitement for the neutral fans, but also, what's caused this shake-up in tradition. So Jake, pen and cheer, mate. What do you think has caused this, or what's been the biggest change that we've seen?
I think obviously there's a lot more TV right money into the Premier League. So all of these clubs, I think they've been spending their money pretty wisely. They've been bringing in talent from other leagues that they can probably pay a little bit more wages. So your likes of Newcastle, even though they've got so much money, like some of the players they brought in for their money has been really good. And you can see they're not spending as much as the Chelseas of the world, but they're still getting the results. And even Brighton's probably spent less than most of the Premier League teams.
Yeah.
They've had their managers taken off them, players have left and stuff, and you can still see they're knocking on the Champions League door, which is incredible. You think 10 years ago it was always just top 5 or 6 sort of thing. One would drop out every now and then, but yeah, I think it's completely different. It's changed how the Premier League is now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The teams that you see, we've spoken about before, like Nottingham Forest, for example, getting promoted, and all of a sudden they can go out and spend 100 million. So the gap might have closed a little bit from the top to the bottom in terms of what they can spend. But then on the other flip side of that, we've seen Chelsea go and spend 600 million, and this season they're not really reaping the rewards of that.
Yeah.
At the same time, they have had a lot of injuries. They've had huge manager turnaround and whatnot. So we're struggling to see a bit of consistency there from them if you're trying to build and make any progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we look through the teams themselves, we can certainly give great praise to them, like Newcastle, the huge takeover, big money signings last year. And they just kind of made these incremental signings and just slowly brought it forward, didn't go too crazy. Brighton as well, playing very attractive football. When they played Liverpool this season, they just played off the park. They were just
close.
Yeah. And it's so funny, people put that to Graham Potter and what a manager, and then he goes and they can
did
still
pretty well with Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah, Brighton's still doing really well, and then Potter at Chelsea.
Isn't it something ridiculous? Chelsea paid 50 million for him for 6 months or something.
Yeah, well they had to pay Brighton,
20 million pounds, and then it's going to pay out the rest of his contracts 50 million pounds.
Well, they gave him a 5-year deal, I think,
and
then they've sacked him after 7 months or 9 months, whatever it is.
Insane.
Yeah,
be nice to have that much money to throw away.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it personally.
Be nice.
But yeah, I guess it's really fascinating to see. The other one, like Aston Villa, like you said, there's a lot of money and a lot more excitement around these other clubs now. So they've actually been able to attract Unai Emery, who's had experience in the Premier League before with Arsenal. He's won Europa Leagues, I know, in Spain and whatnot. So
Villa's a pretty historic club as well. If you're a player, you wouldn't mind going they've won Champions League before. They've got 40,000 seat stadium sort of thing. So if you start trying to even out the playing field with those bigger teams, there's no reason a team like Villa can't continue to push up, or all of those sort of teams. But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. I think it's probably the sports science aspect of it as well. With the more money, I think more clubs. I know Brighton's pretty big into that sort of stuff. They have all the analytics and all that sort of stuff, which is maybe balancing it out. Whereas I guess maybe the big six had more access to your psychologists and all those sort of things. Maybe it wasn't as evenly spread. But.
So you think the gap's closing financially? Is that what you're...
Yeah, I think TV right money's it's
that's going to be the largest chunk of the income you'd say.
Yeah, and I guess more global now as well. So you'd
social
probably
media.
Yeah, and you'd see more people not going for those big six teams. Before it was always you're either Liverpool, United. Whereas you're talking to people now, they're going for your Brightons and that sort of stuff. That wouldn't have happened before because there's no chance of them winning. But now you look at it and it's this team's doing pretty good. They play good football. I'll probably get behind them. Sort of.
Even if you're just trying to tune in and get access to any matches you can, you're only likely going to see a Liverpool or United game or one of the bigger clubs like that. Whereas now through social media, online, YouTube, whatever it is, you can now go and watch these other clubs and you can just find one that you like and see them play.
So in the future, do you reckon it'll be still the big six will have the share of the results, or it's going to even out? Or?
I don't know. It always seemed the bigger the club size, the more money they'll be able to bring in through the fan base and whatnot. And then that would lead to more success on the pitch. But as you say, any team in the Premier League now, is getting a cut of the TV money.
Yep.
So they're able to compete to a level or a certain level financially.
I still think United and Liverpool are probably still making a lot more money through like sponsorship deals and that sort of stuff though.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you could argue historically Liverpool in the Premier League as a whole probably have underperformed, given their size. Like if you think about it, if them and United are the two biggest clubs, Liverpool's kind of underperformed quite a lot. And, your Chelsea's and Man City of late are definitely proving more success. So, but then again, that's kind of arguing the money aspect is still a leading factor.
Yeah,
because those two clubs are super. It's like
it does. Like you can attract maybe slightly better talent. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, if you're like Mbappe, you never sign for Brighton or something.
Nah,
So I guess
it does take sustainable success on the pitch and progress. I think Brighton or any team probably needs to be hitting top 4 to be attractive, or at least consistently being in and around it. United, when they've finished outside of the top 4 in the last few years, they've still been able to attract players. Yeah. But again, that's probably club size, and you think, they might have missed out this year, but they'll probably get it next year.
Yep.
But like it's crazy to see like Fulham just being promoted. Now they're ahead of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Brentford, who got promoted last year, they stayed up, and now they're in the top half. So
you reckon Tony would have had a bet on that, or
maybe he might have put a bet on himself. He's the coldest man with penalties, but I don't think he would have predicted that. If he did, he would have made
good odds.
Yeah, he would have made some good money off it. It is interesting. I guess there's some innovation there where, like Brighton, I think you'd have to say they've kind of earned their position based on the football they're playing.
Yeah, it's attractive as well, and it's good. Do you reckon long term that might harm the Premier League, or you reckon it's good for it? Like you're not getting those big 6 battles and all those sort of things.
I think probably historically, like the size of the club and the history will always make. A Liverpool versus United is going to be a big game, or a Chelsea, Arsenal, whatever it might be. That the fans are always going to want to watch those games just based on historical things. They always will have great teams, whether or not they will be. These 6 teams will be the top 6. Yeah. I think it's probably a good thing. I guess for all neutrals, you'd want to see more underdog stories, smaller, or probably the clubs you wouldn't expect, breaking into those teams.
I suppose in England it's better. Maybe it's a global thing, because I suppose typically global people go for those big 6 just for the history stuff. So maybe like if your team like Chelsea, for example, might be losing, a lot of people watching it because like they're down 11th sort of thing. Like because Liverpool's been pretty average this year. I haven't watched as many games as I probably normally do. But I guess if you're an Arsenal fan, you're pretty happy.
Arsenal have really turned the corner.
Yeah.
But even for them, like off the back of last year, you'd never be expecting them to be pushing for the title. So it's really come out. Like obviously you'd expect them to be in and around it. Again, top 6, pushing Champions League. For years they were always top 4 at a minimum.
I suppose on the flip side, like you look at Leicester, like
where are they? They're down 19th.
Like, they've been pretty successful, and then just one bad year and they could go back in the Championship, and then who knows from there.
Yeah, for them to go from win the league, what was that, like 2015, 16?
Yeah, they even had a couple of Champions League runs. So I guess that shows you, like, if you're not on top of it, if you're not keeping up to it, you make a few bad signings, like anything can happen, you lose your spot pretty easy. I guess it is so competitive now.
Yeah, well they've just sacked Brendan Rodgers now, so they're obviously going to hope to
new manager bounce.
Appoint a manager, get a few wins off the back of that. The other big news, I guess, is Burnley getting promotion. They're now mathematically clear that they're going to get promoted to the Premier League. So again, they're going to get that huge influx of money coming back up. Vincent Kompany, a Premier League legend, as their manager. Yeah, what do you think that's going to look like? Are they going to be able to come in and stay up? It's obviously always a big challenge for any promoted team to stay up there. We've seen Fulham and Norwich, historically been what are they called? Yo-yo clubs?
Yeah.
What do you think that looks
like? I guess
like
you look at Fulham, like Fulham were that typical yo-yo club for a few years, but now they're in the top half of the Premier League. So I guess anything's possible for Burnley. Like, as we've just mentioned, like they've got the money now. If there's players that they want to get in, they're playing that attractive style. I can't see no reason why they can't stay and thrive in the Premier League. So,
well, what do you think about, like, on this channel before we've spoken about Burnley maybe being one of the better teams in the lower league, being the Championship. Yep. They can play this progressive style of football, holding the ball, playing with possession. Now, if they're going to be this small fish in a big pond, does Vincent Kompany now have to change his whole style of play?
I don't think so. Like, you look at all the clubs that come up now, like none of them, 10 years ago that sit with that block and just counter, but like none of the teams really do that anymore. Like they all take the game on sort of thing. I think you have to, because I think all the like your cities and all them, they're so good at keeping possession and just keeping in that block that you can't get out. So there's no, and then the pressure just builds.
But if you're trying to beat City at their own game then, and you're thinking, oh,
we'll
go out against City
you
and we'll have possession.
Yeah, you got to be tactical, but like I don't think it's how it used to be, where you just sit in a block and you just defend and just
go for 0-0, 1-0.
Yeah, like I don't think Stoke would survive anymore that style of football in the Premier League.
Well, Burnley, when they were in the Premier League, we witnessed
Dyche.
them. Yeah, we witnessed them doing that. Yeah. So you think potentially with the new manager Kompany, who's obviously come from a background of playing for Man City and a possession-based game, do you think that he will maintain that?
I think so. Like if you've spent all year and you've had success with that style of football, I think it's pretty detrimental to your players to come up and to just change it. And it's a confidence thing as well. It's like, I don't believe you guys can play City, so we got to change that style. And then subconsciously maybe the players we're not up to this level. So,
well, the same. Speaking of players though, are they going to have to do similar to what Nottingham Forest have done and Bournemouth and Fulham and have a huge squad overhaul? Like how many of those players are Premier League level? Like they may be some of the best players in the Championship, but everyone knows it's quite a big jump to come up.
I mean, Championship is competitive now. Like they're going to play 46 games, so they're tough. Like I think they're pretty quality players, and even if you look at the FA Cup, I think there's more Championship teams that have made it further than I can remember for a time. So I think the quality's there. So for me, if I was Burnley, I think you just keep doing what you do, and then you just sort of hope you stay up. But I think they'll get money, and hopefully they'll, for their sake, they'll bring in top quality players that can keep
How many, like 23, 22 players?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? You got the money, spend it. I don't know. You'd be pretty, if you're a Forest fan, you'd be pretty upset if you go back down after 24 signings or whatever they've got.
So you don't think it will come back to bite them if they go out there and they still try to play that way? I felt like Leeds were kind of trying to do that, and there was a few games where it would work out, but then other times they'd just get completely open up for it.
Yeah, I think you just ride it. Like some games you're going to win, some games you're going to get smashed.
You just got to play your own football kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you just play with the odds and you just go, we're going to win more games this way than we're going to lose, so that'll be enough points for us. But yeah, I like Brentford. They've always played pretty attractive football, and historically, they wouldn't have had too much funds or anything like that. So they're showing you if you believe in your style of play, you get the type of players that can handle it, then you can stay up in the Premier League. So.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I guess let's see what next year holds then with those predictions, and we'll see if Burnley can stay up, because
be one of those. What is it? Mid.
What?
Would you say that word? The mid. Oh, the underdogs.
The underdog stories.
The underdogs.
Yeah, Burnley being the underdogs. Well, they are quite a small town. As mentioned, we've spoke about them on this channel before, and we were tracking them when they were down in the Championship, doing quite well, winning, playing a very different style of football. A lot of people commenting on the video saying that they've never seen Burnley play like this, scoring plenty of goals. Vincent Kompany really doing well to transform the team.
And prefer that than Sean Dyche's 4-4-2.
Yeah, well that was kind of the argument. Do you rather see your team in the Championship playing this really attractive football, free flowing, scoring goals, or do you want to be in the top tier league, the Premier League, but you're now playing this anti-football style of play? As a fan, what do you prefer to see?
I think you probably prefer watching exciting football. Me personally, but
me too. But how much is the win kind of valued at, kind of thing at that stage? That's been our thoughts on the Premier League getting shaken up. I've been Ant. It's been Jake. It's been Roommate. See you in the next one.